You have her ID?
No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with it. I have to go. I have to go. You don't have to go with it. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah,
come
I
with
can't.
me.
Please, can I help? No, you can't join me there. Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's
God.
got to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Hold on to that for me. Is that okay with you?
Please, you don't have that with handcuffs on. She's not going anywhere. Please. Please.
You have anything in your pocket?
No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No,
Plus you have a necklace on. You
Wanna
can
go?
take the necklace off.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
And the earrings.
And the earrings.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record. Okay, how is everybody? Wow. What a day it was in court in Donna Adelson's trial. Holy cow. Fascinating testimony from Wendi Adelson. We heard a lot of things we didn't hear about before. I think the defense did us a great favor with their objections on laying foundation. So we've seen a lot of emails that we haven't seen. We heard a lot of backstory to things that we hadn't heard of before. I'll get into that. I temporarily moved that show till Saturday. I may move it up. You say if we get like boring testimony tomorrow or testimony that may not be worth going through, we'll talk about Wendi Adelson's testimony. But boy, time, we're all getting older. You just get the sense looking at Wendi that it's living with this all these years. Her brother's in jail. Her brother's in prison. Her mother's in jail on trial, facing life in prison. And is she next? She has to be asking herself, am I next? Apparently what she was telling Sarah Youssef after Dan Markel's murder is, I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. Didn't happen. But certainly her life has not panned out the way that her mother, Donna, wanted it. But we heard a lot about this job from Robert Adelson, and that was the showstopper. I knew it would be. I've been saying this is the testimony that I've been looking forward to hearing the most. It's from Robert Adelson, and he looked like a man heavily burdened on the stand. It looked like his shoulders were just could not have slumped any more forward. The weight of carrying what he knows about the Adelson family any longer. He did give one interview to Over My Dead Body podcast and then clammed up. I mean, it was a very slight interview, but it was very telling in that he was saying in that interview, nobody was interested in how Dan Markel was murdered but myself. I'm the only one in the family who's interested in how it happened. Well, it's pretty easy for him to figure out. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes. The reason they weren't interested is because They knew who murdered Dan Markel. They look at that person in the mirror every morning. But here, as he gave his testimony, you could just feel the sort of weight lift off of his shoulders. And his mother, Donna, I don't think it's a spoiler alert because I'm going to play all of his testimony. It's also fascinating. But what I believe he was asked to testify for, and you know that the defense knew how damaging this was because they kept giving one objection after the next. One of the objections was sustained, I believe, wrongfully. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't understand how this is hearsay if someone tells it to you themselves. It's a quote from Harvey Adelson, what Harvey told Robert. And I don't know if the judge misunderstood that. I don't understand why that was sustained. Maybe a lawyer in the audience could explain it to me. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but they were sustaining all over the place. But the big kicker of the testimony was when he said, Donna Adelson called me, my mother called me, I'm Robert Adelson testifying, and told me, don't talk to the police. And he said, look, Mom, I already talked to the police. And then she said, well, you don't know anything anyway. So what that does, let's break that down. The reason to not talk to the police is that if you knew something, it would be damaging to us. That's why you don't. So she's relieved that Robert Adelson didn't know anything about the rest of the family, or else it would be damaging. It's okay for you to talk, but not for the rest of us, because the rest of us know an awful lot about Dan's murder. That's what that's saying. It was a jaw dropper. Let's get into it. Let's watch it. The sound is not going to be great. Trial went long and my computer would not download all of it in time to fix the sound, but it's going to be low. I'll try to move my mic away from you a little bit so I won't be screaming. I won't be such a difference. Here he is, Robert Adelson, the ear, nose, and throat doctor, works in upstate New York. What we do know about him is that he wanted to marry an Indian woman, the love of his life. Mama Donna said, no, you have to marry a Jewish woman. He married a Jewish woman, and he dissolved the marriage in two weeks, and then went on, got the okay from his family to really marry the woman he loves, still married to her, and has kids with her. So he's managed to move away after figuring out he's in a family of murderers. He's managed to move away and remove himself from the family. He also was teased for returning change as a younger person, got too much change, and they all teased him, his mother and his father and his brother. I don't know if his sister was in there, and called him Honest Abe. Why did you return the change? They were just shocked that he would return change to a woman who gave him too much change at the store. Unreal. What values the Adelson family? Adelson family values. What values they teach in the Adelson family? Let's get into Robert Adelson's testimony against his mother, Donna Adelson, in her murder trial for the murder of FSU law professor Dan Markel. Let's take a listen.
This matter will be the truth.
I swear.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly. You can adjust the microphone as need be. Ms. Dugan, you may examine.
Thank you. Could you tell us your name and spell your name for our court reporter, please?
Sure. Robert Todd Adelson, Adelson.
Thank you. And what state do you currently live in?
New York.
And how long have you lived in New York?
13 years.
Okay, so since maybe 2012?
Yes.
All right. What do you do for a living in New York?
I'm an ENT.
Okay, so ear, nose, and throat doctor?
Yes.
And how long have you worked as an ENT?
For 20 years.
How do you know the defendant in this case, Donna Adelson?
She's my mother.
And Harvey Adelson's your dad?
Yes.
Wendi and Charlie Adelson are your siblings?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
In Coral Springs, Florida.
Is that a bit north of Miami?
Yep.
About how long of a drive?
About an hour north of Miami.
Okay. When y'all were growing up, did you all, the five of you, live in the same house as a family?
Yes.
And who's the oldest child?
I am.
Okay. Who's the middle child?
Charlie.
How many years between you and Charlie?
3 years between Charlie and I.
And then who's the youngest then is Wendi?
Yes.
And how many years between Charlie and Wendi?
3 years.
Okay. When you were 18, did you move out of the Coral Springs house?
Yes, when I went to college.
Okay. And did you go to college at University of Florida?
I went to Tulane.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Did you live in Gainesville at some point?
I did, yes.
Okay, thank you. So after you went to college at Tulane and then went on to med school, went on to residency, throughout those years, did you continue to talk to your parents and your siblings on a regular basis?
Yes.
And would you see them a couple of times a year?
Yes.
When you were in school, would you go home for the summer?
Yes.
Based on your personal observations throughout your life, of your parents and of your siblings, who is the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson.
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
What about, is she kind of a more assertive person or a more passive person?
More assertive.
What about your dad, Harvey Adelson?
Apparently, the defense had deposed him, and what he said about her, that she was totally someone who would take initiative, not a passive person, but also someone who was totally self-interested and had no problem looking after number one. Those are my phrasing, not his, but she was, I think he called her like one of the most self-interested, one of the most self-interested people he knew, he's ever met, something like that, in defense filings.
What's his personality like?
I think he's more passive, more go with the flow.
Okay. So they're kind of opposites in that way a bit?
Yeah.
When you and your siblings were growing up, was Donna Adelson a very involved parent?
Yes.
And when I say involved, as far as with your life and with your friends and with school and with that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Did she have certain fixed ideas throughout your life of certain things she wanted to happen in you and your siblings' life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it acceptable if you decided to not do those certain things that she was fixated she wanted you to do? Was that acceptable to her or no?
No, I think she had certain sort of rigid, fixed ideas or impressions for what she wanted for us. And, if you went along with that, things were fine. If you didn't, things were not fine.
Did she have strong opinions about who you all married and what you all did for a living and those types of things?
Yes.
And you're obviously a doctor. Was that an acceptable profession to
Yes.
her?
She wanted a doctor. She wanted a doctor. She was a Jewish mother who wanted a son who was a doctor. Who can blame her?
That was okay.
Okay. And was that one of the reasons you became?
And I said this on my live stream, so forgive me for the repetition to anyone who's coming back. And thank you for coming back to the live streams at night, where we kind of wrap this day up of testimony. It's impossible to wrap up all of today's testimony with Wendi. We'll get to it. She kisses her father as she leaves. It's the oddest sight. You wonder what the relationship is there. But what was I going to say about, that he's got like incredible reviews. If you read his reviews, he goes above and beyond for his patients. Very compassionate doctor. That's a doctor that his patients describe. And I love the way that he his memory works. It's very much like mine. He remembers what people say, and he can kind of place. He has a good. He may have a good. He may be the may have been the writer in the family or have a good ear for dialogue. He seems to remember it. Not Donna certainly, but seems to remember what people say and kind of like in a little bit of emotional memory.
I'm a doctor.
Yes.
How involved was Donna in yours, Charlie, and Wendi Adelson's life after you grew up, became adults, and had kids of your own?
I think still involved.
Was she more involved with your life, Charlie's life, or Wendy's life, would you say?
You're probably more involved with Wendi and probably to a lesser degree with Charlie.
Okay. And then would you be the kind of the least, she's the least involved with your life out of the three?
Yeah, probably because I was older, but sure, I agree.
Older and not like her. Narcissistic parents have a really hard time when their children aren't like them. They do not like it. I mean, he must have been like an alien in this family. And I did have a moment of feeling a little bad for Wendi. I thought, well, maybe she'd been raised in another family, but she didn't have to go with a murder. And I woke myself up again. She didn't have to agree to murdering the father of her children. What am I thinking? Wesley loves Octoberfest. Thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships. Excuse me. I appreciate it. Appreciate your support.
Okay, so you're the oldest child. You're out of the house before the other two.
Yep.
Okay, and then you also lived other places after you went to college throughout the rest of your life?
Yes.
Now, was this like a healthy level of involvement that she had with the three of your lives, or was it more of like a micromanaging as you saw it?
I think it was certainly between over-involved and controlling. It probably lended itself more toward controlling, but there's in various realms, more or less. But I think certainly that was the tension.
Okay, so a little more on the controlling side.
Yes.
And does that include your personal lives as far as your relationships and in your professions, your jobs?
Yes.
I mean, you just get the sense that he's been sitting on what he really knows. And I think that the defense successfully got out anything that could be considered his opinion. So he has more to say. And I would think that if asked, I would suspect he would start to give more interviews after this. I would suspect he's going to start to feel like a weight, can see a weight lifted after testifying. No one wants to testify against their mother in front of their father. He had to come from upstate New York to Florida for this. I mean, no one wants to see their mother in that state. That's his mother. I know for us, it's Donna, the murderer, but for him, that's his mother. It's complicated. You have to have complicated feelings. Your mother who took part in this horrible thing, but he seems to have no doubt that his family took part in this. And I'd love to hear his opinion on Wendi. The prosecution, at least for the jury, seems to be painting Wendi. I don't know how I don't know what the jury's, but in this trial, they seem to be painting Wendi as, they ask him one question about Wendi being the damsel in distress. Like, did she get her parents all to do this for her? Meaning her mother, her father, her brother. And could they have done it without her knowing? I don't know. I mean, we didn't hear about her driving by did we hear about her driving by the crime scene this time? I mean, that seems to be they seem to be, in the Charlie's case, they really seem to be highlighting her involvement. This time, I don't think we heard about Wendi driving up to the crime scene. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? Did I miss that? I thought it was a much easier cross than Charlie's. Georgia gave her than Charlie's trial.
Was it Charlie who always needed more attention than the other two children?
I think so, yes.
when did Wendy's life start becoming one that she needed to pay or give more attention?
Okay, yes, we did. Okay, then I'm wrong. I just thought it was a gentler cross. I'm wrong. It's all gone into that. Yep, I am wrong. Last witness. Jennifer Ray corrects me. Thank you. Everyone's correcting me. Scratch that. I'm wrong. I just thought it was gentler. I don't know than last time. Can you show the clip of Wendi hugging Harvey? I will at the end of this, Eva. I'll go back. I will. I'll go back. I just want to try to keep the rhythm of this. It's not long.
You know, I think when she had some troubles in her marriage, you know, I wasn't aware there were any troubles in her marriage until Wendi left. But I think around that time when she had two young children, I think that was when she became more involved. And I was, you know, at that point living, you know, pretty good distance away.
Okay. Were you living in Philadelphia at the time?
Yeah, but first in Philly and then in New York where we live now.
Okay. And so Charlie always got a lot of attention, and then Donna also started giving her attention also to Wendy's life once Wendi starts going through the separation or divorce.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. From your interactions with Donna Adelson through your whole life growing up and even as an adult, would you describe her as someone who's mentally sharp, thinking about things from all angles, or is she someone who's a little more gullible? Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to move through these, but I mean, he just would not look at his mother in these moments of sidebars, just looking straight ahead. But then when he looked straight ahead, he was looking at his father. And there's Donna just seeming unhappy with this turn of events. He doesn't know anything anyway. Maybe that's what she's telling herself. Gonna move through this. You think Donna's telling herself he doesn't know anything anyway? Doesn't know anything anyway. Oh, long.
When you were growing up, who owned the dental practice?
My dad.
Okay. And throughout your life, was Donna Adelson in charge of the money at Adelson Institute?
You know, I always, you know, I wouldn't know the inside workings of it, but I always remember my mom like signing the checks and writing the checkbook at the table, like when I was back in middle school or high school. So.
Okay. So even back then, she would do some bookkeeping or payroll type things at home.
That's my memory of it.
Okay. And then did the dental practice, you said it obviously started out at Harvey's. Do you remember a time when Charlie Adelson took over?
You know, I remember my dad making a joke about him having a very understanding boss because Charlie was now his boss. So.
Do not testify to what others have stated out of court. You may testify as to your knowledge, but not what someone else specifically said. The objection is sustained. You may continue.
I understand you were telling us.
But wasn't that told to him by Harvey, making a joke that Charlie had a very understanding boss? Or he had a very understanding boss because it was Charlie? Wasn't that told to Robert? Isn't that not hearsay? Help me out, guys.
How you remember that, but can you just tell us around what year do you remember that happening?
Around 2012, Charlie purchased the practice.
Okay, and then was there a time that you remember Charlie somehow selling it back to Harvey? Harvey Adelson is then becoming the head of the practice again.
Permit you to answer the question if you have knowledge of this matter.
My memory of that was sometime in like fall to winter of 2015 to 16, somewhere right around there. That's my memory.
Okay, so fall to winter of 2015.
Turning into 2016. That's my memory.
Okay. Now, You mentioned Donna Adelson doing payroll at Adelson Institute throughout your life. If someone were to ask Donna Adelson, or if someone asked Donna Adelson to do something, is she the type of person that just snaps to it, or does she have some questions first?
Overall, this is not going to motion limit. You may answer the question.
No, I don't think she would just snap to and do what someone told her to.
Okay. Is she the type of person who's going to have some questions if you ask her to do
Yes,
something?
I think she would definitely have some questions.
So the defense is objecting to this because they're saying that's Robert Adelson's opinion. But the judge is disagreeing and saying that's based on what he's seen, what he's experienced. That's not an opinion. I mean, it's a borderline. I mean, I would say a borderline situation. Not for me. I would rule the same way the judge did. But I mean, you could argue that we have opinions on what we see and experience, but I don't know. I think I'm probably arguing a mute point, but that's why they're making these objections, just to give you a background. And there's a whole filing on this very matter.
Okay. How did Donna Adelson feel about Dan Markel when he and Wendi first got together and were headed towards marriage?
He was very positive about him.
Okay, so he was somebody she approved of.
Yes.
All right, and how did that change as Wendi and Danny's relationship soured? They ended up moving towards divorce.
So I really only heard anything bad about Danny after Wendi moved out. I didn't hear anything bad about him prior to that date.
Okay, so just kind of went from everything's fine to then hearing bad things about him.
Yes.
And when you say hearing bad things about him, like from her? From Donna Adelson, I'm
yes.
sorry? Okay. And how did Donna Adelson feel about Dan Markel in 2014?
I mean, she hated him.
Would this come from your knowledge of that, come from things that she would say to you?
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Did you observe that Wendi played a bit of a damsel in distress, in your opinion, in the divorce?
Yes, I think that's a good way to describe it.
Did Donna Adelson ever talk to you about Wendi Adelson and Dan Markel's divorce?
I apologize. Did Donna Adelson? I apologize. Can I hear the question again?
Did Donna Adelson ever talk to you about Wendi and Dan Markel's divorce?
Some. I mean, the phrase that sticks in my head is that Danny was depoing Wendi to death. I wasn't involved with, all the various motions. I remember that phrase. I remember there being a lot of, court motions back and forth. But I remember that phrase. And I remember, some complaints about like very long either mediation or depositions that Wendi had to endure.
Okay. So this is Donna saying Wendy's having to go through these things.
Yes.
Okay. And just telling you about it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, this is a really good point that Truth and Justice is making no emotion for her firstborn, but Wendi can do no wrong. All teary when she saw her golden child all the way. Poor Rob. Well, it seems when you're a narcissist, you want someone like you. You're not going to relate to these boy children. They're going to be not like you just by their biological sex. So she really wanted that girl child. And when she finally got it, she wanted her to be perfect and do all the things that she really wanted to do. I think Donna really wanted a job where she had power and influence on people. Instead, I think that's now she's living her fantasy of being a mastermind criminal. I mean, she can't stop acting like a criminal. My mom said about her, I mean, you can go back to the episode I did with my mom. Who works with inmates. She's got a criminal mind. She loves having power and influence over people. Power and control. That's what every crime is about. So JP, I just want to acknowledge something you said here in the comments about their lack of curiosity. So we don't look at evidence. We look at the totality of the evidence. Not so one thing on its own, but I think it's very telling. So I think we like to think that we're unique. No one is like us. No one acts like us. Everyone acts different. But human beings are on a spectrum. They act on a spectrum of normalcy. It is not normal to have no curiosity how someone close to you died, murdered in such a heinous way. And she goes into how he was murdered. She tells him how he was murdered, and it's wrong. So I think that was the original plan, to go up to the front door. They didn't care if he did it in front of the children. Ring the doorbell, say, "Are you Dan Markel?" Bang. That was what they told. I think that was the instructions they gave the killers. And had Sigfredo Garcia ever opened his mouth, we could verify that. But since he didn't, and Katie's not talking, who knows what she knows? She was walled off from the details of the crime. She says she doesn't even know what was in the envelope put into her diaper bags. Another lack of curiosity on who murdered Dan shows the family knew how he died, but I can't see how it contributes to Donna's murder charges. Because nobody knew who did it. I mean, you would be interested to know who killed your ex-son-in-law and why. How and why. And Robert Adelson was incredibly interested. And he was even removed from the family just by distance, etc.
How did Donna tell you that, or did she tell you that how Wendi was planning to leave Dan Markel and give him the news that she was leaving the marriage?
I think you're going to need to rephrase this in such a way the witness can answer, Ms. Dugan.
Sure. How did Donna Adelson describe to you how Wendi Adelson left the marriage?
Object to hearsay.
Ms. Dugan, please approach.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving forward. It is very short. But we find out that Donna had a lot more to do with the way that Wendi dropped the bomb, so to speak. That's the way Krista Koss described it in his cross of Wendi Adelson. The way she left him and left all the, took all the furnishings and all the boys, most of the furnishings and the boys' clothes, etc., and left only the things they'd grown out of, and then told him right before he was supposed to give a speech in front of people that she was divorcing him. Donna had a lot to do in the planning and the getting of a lot of the money that Dan Markel felt that she stole.
What did Donna Adelson tell you about the plan for Wendi Adelson to leave the marriage?
Sure. When she told me that that she had been in Tallahassee for several months.
This is Donna Adelson had
Yes. That she had been in Tallahassee for several months, renting a new place for Wendi, arranging for movers, moving money around and getting things set up. I only knew this after Wendi had moved out. But she was relating to me what had occurred over the summer. And so I heard this all at once, but, probably 5-6 days after Wendi had moved out. And then told me that somewhat gleefully or, pleased that they timed the phone call to Danny right before he was supposed to give a speech at the meeting he was at.
Okay. So a couple questions about that. You said Donna said that she had been up here in Tallahassee moving money around and getting things ready for Wendi. Do you mean for when Wendi moved out and needed a place of her own?
Yes.
Okay. And what did Donna tell you that she did to try to, hide the fact that they were renting a place for Wendi?
I remember her saying she had used her maiden name so there wouldn't be an Adelson up here renting, or hiring movers or such.
Just so like word of mouth wouldn't get around that Wendi Adelson was renting an apartment, something like that.
Sure.
Well, Donna was renting an apartment. I mean, Donna was there for months. So it makes you think, what happened? How did Wendi move out of Tallahassee so fast after the murder? Who arranged for the movers? What we've been trying. So she used the name Donna Jacobs. There's Donna's yearbook picture. So who arranged, how did Wendi get out of Tallahassee so seamlessly? When were the movers? When were the movers hired? And how did she get out so quick?
Okay. So they used Donna's maiden name.
Yes.
Donna did. And then you said that their plan was for Wendi to call Dan Markel as he was getting on stage, or right before he got on stage, to give a speech at a conference.
That's what I was told.
Okay. And what was Donna's demeanor when she was describing this plan to you, about how she was able to set up this place for Wendi to live in? Everything was ready for her, and then this is how she gave Dan the news.
I think she sounded.
Donna is the one that gave the news. If not, then we
I believe the question was, what was her demeanor? You may
Yes, sir.
answer the question.
She sounded pleased to me.
Did you ever see Donna Adelson doing anything to help Wendi Adelson with the divorce?
I think she was, answering a lot of emails and looking over, emails that went back and forth, looking over motions and such.
Did you personally see that when she was visiting you? Did you see Donna Adelson doing those things?
Yes.
Okay. Was there an occasion when you all were in the hospital and Donna came to visit and was doing those things in the hospital?
I think it was at our home at the time, right before he went to the hospital. But yes, that's where we, saw the email.
Okay. And while she was at your house during that time, was that when you were living in Philadelphia?
That was in Albany.
Albany. Okay. Did she want the Wi-Fi at that time so that she could get on the internet and work on these filings?
Yeah, she said she had things to do to help out with the divorce.
What date would that have been? Do you remember?
October of 12.
Did Donna Adelson tell you that Wendi Adelson was trying to get permission to relocate to Miami?
Yes.
And did Donna Adelson tell you about the $1 million bribe she wanted to offer Dan Markel?
Yes.
During the year or two after Wendi Adelson left Dan Markel, how much time was Donna Adelson spending in Tallahassee?
He had personal knowledge of her being here.
You may answer as to your personal knowledge on the subject matter.
I can rephrase, Judge. Did Donna Adelson tell you information about how much time she was having to spend in Tallahassee?
She said that Wendi needed a lot of help because now she has 2 boys on her own, and so she was up there a lot. And I think yes.
Okay. Who cared more about Wendi Adelson's divorce from your conversations? Was it Donna or Charlie?
Donna.
What types of things does Charlie care about? What are kinds of things is he really into?
I mean, like go-karts, jet skis, going out, boats, not Wendy's divorce.
Okay. And is Donna Adelson very into her kids and grandkids and
Yes.
their success?
Yes.
Do you think Wendy's divorce or her moving, do you think Wendi and her boys moving to Miami was particularly important to Charlie Adelson from your observations?
I don't think so.
During the divorce, from your
Someone tell me, is go-karts like an adult hobby? I just haven't met anyone who's into go-karts as an adult, but maybe is that an adult hobby?
conversations with Donna, was she fixated on Wendi taking this job with a guy named Gary Cohen in Miami?
Yes, that was a common discussion point.
Okay. Did she seem like it was just something that she kind of thought would be a good idea, or something that she seemed to have a real obsession with?
It came up a lot in my discussions with her about this job with Gary. or you should be making $1 million a year and should be a partner. And it was something that was brought up a lot, that she'd be able to take care of her kids in a way that she couldn't up in Tallahassee.
Right. She wasn't making enough money. The job wasn't prestigious enough. The area wasn't prestigious enough. This was for her to get $1 million, be a partner in this law firm. And it gets objected to, but listen to what comes next. This is key.
And then it was probably the one thing that she mentioned to me, the only time I heard any anger after the murder had occurred, was that I asked, is Wendi going to go work for Gary now? And she told me that.
Did the job end up not working out?
As far as I know, it didn't.
Okay. And that you heard some anger from Donna when that happened?
She said that his partners wouldn't let them hire her until they.
Okay.
The partners wouldn't let him hire her until they solved the murder. That's what's coming next. They didn't want to hire a murderer. So obvious. And Sarah Dugan's trying to be like, ixnay on the murderer comment, ixnay on solving the crime. But Robert's just in the mode of like, I got to get this off my chest. So the plan was, one of the things that we really haven't talked about, because it hasn't really been discussed, is this job for Gary Cohen being had to be one of the real factors as why relocation was so important. And she could not wait. Wendi had to be partner in this law firm, make $1 million, have it all with her 2 kids in Miami. And Dan had to be murdered for this job to happen. But the irony is, once that her name was connected with this murder, they wanted nothing to do with her. She's only had jobs. My understanding is Wendi's career, she's only been hired by people as a, how do I say it? As a favor, like people she knows or people that are in the Adelson inner circle of trust. People don't want to hire Wendi Adelson. They don't want that attached to they didn't think that through. They thought nobody would connect them to this crime.
There was some anger there because the job didn't end up working out.
Yes.
They couldn't hire Wendi, or didn't want to hire Wendi after all.
That's what I was told.
Okay, thank you.
What changed? What changed? A murder changed, right? After Wendi's ex-husband was murdered, they strangely didn't want a murderer. They didn't want to talk to a murderer about, I don't know, whatever, the latest HBO show around the water cooler.
Now, during the summer of 2014, did Wendi Adelson, I'm going to move on to 2014 now, did Wendi Adelson send you a text where she referenced having a boyfriend?
Yes.
And was this before Dan Markel's murder?
Yes.
Why was that memorable to you?
It was just unusual. Wendi, never was someone who would, share her, romantic life or boyfriends, or, tell me or, text me about anyone she was dating. So it just stood out as, unique or different.
Okay. What did she, was there something in particular that she said that struck you as also unusual? Okay. I guess, was it your impression that your parents knew about this boyfriend at the time, or no?
No, the text said, don't tell the parents.
Well,
Members of the jury, you are to disregard the last response of the witness.
may I approach, Judge?
You may.
I find this really odd. These are all things that were sent to him, told to him personally. But don't tell the parents about Jeffrey Lacasse. Why? They all had met him. He says many times. They already knew about him. So why would Wendi be saying, don't tell the parents about Jeffrey Lacasse? Help me out here. Get me into the mind of... All I can think of is she wanted to be like a thing that she told Robert so he would tell the police that she was dating this guy and set him up for being the fall guy. I mean, it seems like she never tells him about any of his boyfriends but this boyfriend. She had the feeling Robert would talk. She's already profiled him. He'd be the one to talk to the police. But Wendi did have this ex-boyfriend, or this boyfriend. There's one boyfriend I knew about, Jeffrey Lacasse.
Examination of student.
Okay, so I was asking you about this text that you received from Wendi Adelson. Can you tell me about this text?
Sure. She texted me that she was going to Gainesville for the weekend, and this was 2014. So I last lived in Gainesville about 3 years prior to that. I mentioned that she wanted that. I mentioned the name of Jeff. I asked who was Jeff. The response was my boyfriend. I responded I didn't know, and she said you wouldn't. I didn't hear it from the parents. She says they don't know. And so it just struck me as, and then she sent me some pictures of Jeff with her and the boys. It struck me as unique because she'd never shared the name or photograph of a boyfriend before.
Okay, so
Yes. Jury, as to the last question and response, you are not to consider the hearsay statement for the truth of the matter asserted. You may continue.
okay. So it was unusual for her to talk to you about boyfriends at all.
Yes.
But you also felt it was unusual that she's telling you about this boyfriend when even your parents don't know about him yet.
Right.
And she was closer to her parents at the time than you.
Correct.
Okay. What date was that text message sent?
The very end of June, like 26 or 28 of 14, but that last weekend.
Okay. So it was prior to 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where in those photographs Wendi is with her sons and Jeff?
Like Wakulla Springs, something like that.
Okay.
They're in front of a board that said that.
And did you let her know you wouldn't mention him to her parents or to your parents?
Yes.
Did that strike you as so unusual that after Dan Markel was murdered, you felt, I guess, compelled to tell police, like, hey, I heard she has this boyfriend she hasn't told anybody about named Jeff?
Yes, I did. The FBI came to my house and I spoke to them once, and either it didn't come up or, it's a bit nerve wracking talking to the FBI, and that they didn't ask any questions about that. And then, I guess over the ensuing week, I'd heard about like this Prius and this unsolved murder. And I remembered, it struck me as odd that I was sent these photographs of a boyfriend and not to tell the parents about him. And so that's when I wanted to have a clean conscience. So I reached out to the FBI and I said, I don't know if this matters, but I figured I would, tell you about this. And they came back for a second interview and looked at the pictures.
Okay. When is your father, Harvey Adelson's birthday?
July 5.
Okay, so on July 5th of 2014, how old would he have turned that year?
70.
Okay, and this is about 2 to 3 weeks before Dan Markel was killed?
Yes.
Did your family do anything to celebrate his birthday that year?
Yes, we had a party at their condo.
Okay, was there a gift from the family or from any of you to him?
No. I remember an email, and my dad is not someone who wants gifts or a big deal made about him. And so, the email is something like, your dad doesn't want gifts. He just wants all of his kids to be with him on his birthday.
And was that from Donna Adelson?
Yes.
So she's basically just letting know you and your kids coming is going to be his gift.
Correct.
And everybody, all the kids and grandkids being
Correct.
there. Okay. Did the family ever discuss going on a cruise?
No, not with me.
When a birthday gift is given for somebody in the family, does Donna Adelson typically say, we're going to get him this, everybody owes this much, everybody's going to pay a third, or whatever it is?
Yeah, if there was like a big gift we're getting, or they said, we're getting this for someone, and you can be part of it, that was not uncommon.
Okay. So tell us about the party. You said it was at the Continuum?
Yes, at their apartment.
Okay. So is that like a condo building in Miami?
Yeah, on Miami Beach.
Okay. On Miami Beach, like South Beach?
Yeah.
Okay. And is it a secure building?
It's very secure. It was, we were staying at a hotel down the street, and there was armed guards, and apparently there's a lot of celebrities that live there. It was a very high a very secure building.
Okay. And these celebrities that live there, were they people that you knew of? I mean, you knew who they were?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, A-Rod.
Did these people have kind of guards of their own too in the building?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So the guards that you saw were the guards in the front.
Yes.
All right. Had your parents, how recently had they moved to the Continuum?
I got the idea. It was certainly less than a year. Like, I don't remember exactly, but seemed like they said they were going to try living down in South Beach to see if they liked it for their retirement. And so it had to be sometime, before, because they were pretty well moved in there. But I don't remember the exact time, but if I'm guessing, like maybe 6 months before or something like that.
Okay. So by the weekend of the party, July 5th, are they like fully moved into their condo there?
Yes.
Okay. And are they living there full time from what you know?
It seemed like that, but I couldn't, I know they still own the house in Coral Springs. So I don't know if they're just there on the weekends, but I couldn't say definitively, but it looked like they were living there fully.
Okay. Was his party on his actual birthday or another day of the week?
No, on his actual birthday.
All right. Was your brother Charlie there that weekend?
Yes.
Wendi and her sons, were they there?
Yes.
Was the party catered?
Yeah, there was, yes.
What type of food did you have?
There were like past hors d'oeuvres, and then there was a paella chef on the balcony.
Okay. Was the party a surprise for Harvey?
No.
So you were never told, don't tell him about it, it's a surprise,
No.
Anything like that? Don't tell him. Were you not supposed to tell him anything about the party that was a surprise?
No, there was nothing about a surprise birthday.
Was there ever a time in the weeks leading up to the party that you heard that the party may be canceled for any reason?
No, never.
All right. So how did you first hear about Dan Markel's murder?
I heard the day after the shooting occurred. So that would be Saturday, July 19. I was at a meeting in Chicago, and I think I got a phone call first, and that I was in a meeting, and so I just said can I call you later? And then I got a text message shortly thereafter, like right before 10 in the morning. It said like, tragedy here, please call.
And are these from Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Okay. So were you able to call her that morning from the conference in Chicago?
Yeah. So I walked out and went to the hotel lobby and just hit call.
So isn't that odd? Would you describe the murder of someone you hated as a tragedy? I mean, it's a tragedy for the grandchildren. If you hated them, I mean, that seems like if you're writing a text message, she's been told by Wendi and whoever else, be very careful about anything she writes down. I mean, that tragedy seems over the top. No?
Okay. And tell us about that conversation with her.
So it's one of those moments that you'll just remember forever. So I remember being in the lobby of the Westin, and I assumed something terrible had happened, and but I wasn't ready for it. She said, so we just want to let you know that Danny's been shot, and they took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. And it didn't make any sense. And I probably asked like a few medical questions, and they said they're driving up to go help Wendi, and we'll talk to you later. We can't talk now.
Okay. Was she crying in that conversation?
Not
Donna
in that
Adelson?
conversation.
Sir?
No, she was not.
Okay.
It was very matter of fact.
Did she ever give you any further detail that weekend about how he'd been shot, or other than just Danny was shot and he didn't make it?
I think it was the next day. So the only really other time that I spoke with him that weekend, I was in the airport going home, like Sunday afternoon. So it was definitely the next day. And, it was the first time I could actually have any kind of conversation. And, one of the things that she told me is, it bothered me, but I didn't have any other details about, but she said that, someone went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and then shot him. And then I said, "Well, how could you know that? Who's telling you that?" And she said, "Well, that's just what they're telling us." And
Okay. So she said someone told her that Someone knocked on Danny's door, said, "Are you Dan Markel?" He said yes, and the shooter shot him.
That's the story I heard. And, later we found out that wasn't what happened, but that story bothered me a lot because there's only one way you could hear that story.
Was she crying when she told you that information?
No.
You mentioned earlier that law enforcement contacted you after Dan Markel's murder. Did they contact you to try to see if you knew any information?
Yeah, they came to our house. I was already at work, and so they talked to my wife. It had to be a Wednesday or Thursday, so I was already at work.
And is this your house in New York?
Yes.
Okay. Did you end up talking to law enforcement and letting them, answering their questions, letting them know what you knew?
Yeah, they came to my office the next day, and we with two agents, and we had we had an interview.
Okay. After that conversation with, you said it was the FBI earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that conversation with the FBI, did Donna Adelson ever say anything to you about having talked to law enforcement or the FBI?
It was either that afternoon or the next day, but and she had called me and said, just want to let you know, if the police come around, don't talk to them.
Okay, so she told you not to talk to law enforcement.
Correct.
Did you let her know that you already had talked to law enforcement?
Yeah, I said I already did.
What did she say to that?
She said, "Oh, well, you don't know anything anyway."
You don't know anything anyway?
Correct.
Was that an unusual statement coming from your mother?
Yeah, everything that week was unusual, but I clearly didn't know anything, but I wasn't going to not talk to the FBI if they show up at my house.
Right, which would inform the jury that the reason Donna didn't talk to the police is because she did know something. Well, you don't know anything anyway. It's really for the rest of us who do know something. That's what that means. It sounds like if you're not paying attention, that's why Sarah Dugan's repeating it. She's hoping the jury's getting it. Do you get what that means? You get what that means, everybody? Well, you don't know anything. It's safe for you to talk to the police. Probably be best that you don't tell them any of the things that you notice, like our lack of curiosity. He's going to talk about that next. But it's not enough to really hurt us. Michael Weinstein, what does he know? What does the Weinstein family know that protected the Adelsons forever? Done episodes on them where I've gone into them. That's the mic that, I believe that's the mic that told Charlie Adelson not to talk on the phone. I mean, they were like helping them to get away with their murder. Immoral lawyers.
How did you respond? Let me ask you this. After the murder of Dan Markel, did Donna Adelson seem curious about who killed Dan Markel?
No.
Was there a complete lack of curiosity?
Yeah, nobody seemed curious.
Did you actually ever ask her, like after the murder, like, hey, like, what do you think happened? What do you?
Yeah, and the conversations were kind of rerouted, or that was certainly discouraged, and it was probably like maybe sometime like mid-August, when I finally had a chance to ask and say, what is going on? This was not a small event. This was getting a lot of notoriety, and I said, what do you guys think happened? And she had said, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't concern me.
Was that out of character for her to not be curious and not be asking some questions?
Yeah, it was an unsolved murder of, my former brother-in-law, like someone that we all know very well. If it was like some neighborhood gossip, people would be interested. This was like national interest, and nobody had any curiosity about, who did this to Danny.
Right. So he's saying people, strangers, like my audience, me, we're all interested in what happened to Danny, but not my family. It doesn't concern me. It does concern you because he's your son-in-law. It sure does concern you, Donna. It's your ex-son-in-law. It does concern you. He's awfully close to you, right? Wasn't Wendi so scared she had to change the boys' names? But Donna's cool as a cucumber. Wendy's putting on that act like, Amanda Knox did this too. Like they could have killed me. They could have come for me next. It's not me who was doing it. So I thought, as an innocent person, that maybe I'm next of this random murder that killed a man that strangely opened up the doors to me doing everything I wanted to do, myself and my children, except that job at Gary Cohen's law office. Boy, that's an extra piece of the puzzle, isn't it? That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because there's so much talk in those emails. I'll probably go over them again about how she can make more money in Miami. That makes a lot more sense. That job was waiting for $1 million job that Dan Markel's had come between her and Wendi getting and becoming partner, which has a lot of social cachet.
Is a person, you mentioned that, not only is it your brother-in-law, but it was like national news at that point as well.
Yes.
And regardless of it being national news or not, I mean, is a person dying from gun violence an extremely unusual thing to happen in your family?
Yeah, I mean, to this day, Danny's the only person that I know who's died from gun violence or been a victim of gun violence. So,
what would your mom, Donna Adelson, do if you did try to ask her any more about Danny's murder after that?
It wasn't a subject for discussion. It would be rerouted, or it was just not a subject to discuss.
When you say rerouted, do you mean like a changing the subject?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fast forward to 2016. Do you remember in May of 2016 when Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera were arrested?
Yeah, I do. I saw it in the OR lounge. Someone told me about it. So it had to be like a Wednesday, and
you were in the operating room lounge.
It was
and
the
someone
lounge.
told you about it.
It was someone else, because stories like this people see on Twitter or such, and I remember someone telling me did you hear about that case, because it's more than one person had followed it, and I saw it, and then that was on the 26th, and I remember the dates because our anniversary is on the 28th of May. My wife and I were like, should we call them? Like they arrested some guy who killed Danny. And
when you say them, you mean should we call my parents? And
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was big news that even people you work with were seeing that there were finally some arrests made.
Right.
Okay. And that was 2 days before your anniversary, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you and your wife eventually talk to your parents?
We did. We thought, should we call them? And we figured, if they wanted to call us, they would call us, and then they didn't. And so we figured, well, they'll call us on our anniversary, and so we can just sit tight. And I'm sure it's pretty stressful. And this guy was arrested in Miami, and so they called us on our anniversary, which was the 28th.
Okay, so that was 2 days after the arrest, I think.
2 days after I found out. Yes.
2 days after you found out. Thank you. So on the 28th, did you talk to Donna Adelson?
Yes.
All right. And when she called you, was she telling you the good news that Danny's killers were arrested?
No, just called us for anniversary, and wished us well, and had some small talk for a bit. I kind of let it go for a little bit. And I mean, this was not small news. And so I finally broached the topic and said, they found the guy, they arrested someone who killed Danny. There's no response. And then I said it, at least 2 or 3 times that, they made an arrest. They got the guy who killed Danny. And then her response was, I've got to go.
And then did she hang up the phone after that?
Yes.
And did you ever talk to her about it again, ever after that?
No.
Just a second.
So I'm going to stop before they get to but you look at Donna and not a emotion on her face, not a feeling absolutely nothing looking at her son. testifying against her in her murder trial. I mean, my audience was I could feel it. I could feel the emotion coming from my audience. Nothing here. Nothing from Donna. What a psychopath. Sailing Nuts, thanks so much. Thanks, Roberta, for all these days of streaming and recaps. Wendi is next. Hope so. Hope you're right. I feel it. Hope you're right. Maybe Harvey Adelson. I don't think Harvey's going down, but I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if he does. I do think he was involved. Will he go to Wendi's trial? I don't know. But, you know, they just, so what happens on redirect, I'm going to just go back and show you Wendi leaving the stand. This is the end of the questioning. And on cross, they say it was Michael Weinstein who told Donna not to talk to the police. So here is the end of Wendi testifying as she walks out, right? This is as she walks out.
Did any harm to Dan? Is there anyone that she cares about more than those two boys?
My dad.
Okay. She thought relocation was best.
That was an interesting part of Wendi's testimony. True. I mean, Harvey didn't show up for Charlie's trial, but he's showing up for Donna's.
For those boys. They were going to have better opportunities, right?
Yes.
Better family support.
Yes.
A happier mother.
Yes.
With a more lucrative profession.
Yes.
And your lives all depended on it. Isn't that what she said?
Yes.
And Dan Markel could have agreed, couldn't he?
He was amenable, but then he didn't want to ultimately.
Well, he could have moved to South Florida, right? Isn't that what you were asked on cross?
Yes, he could have.
Could have moved to South Florida and enjoyed all that delicious kosher food down there, right?
Yes.
And if he had relented, you and he could have had separate lives in Miami and happily co-parented the boys, right?
In
that
theory,
could have happened.
Yes, it could have.
Except he wouldn't relent, would he?
I mean, he said no, and so we had a hearing, and the judge said no.
Right. He wouldn't relent. He wouldn't give your mom what she wanted, would he?
I mean, we only had one conversation about it, so it wasn't like a ongoing thing.
It wasn't an ongoing thing? What wasn't?
I mean, between Danny and I, we talked about relocation. He said he would think about it, and then he said he didn't want to. And then we had the hearing, and then that was the end of it for me.
Yes, but you were asked on cross.
This is Wendi leaving the stand, I believe. Am I wrong on this?
Suited. Yes, go ahead. Very well. With there being no need for a proffer from this witness, you may step down. Ms. Kappelman, will you be recalling her at any point under your subpoena?
I don't intend to, Judge, but I would ask that she remain under the rule at this time. She's free to go about her business.
You are not to discuss your testimony with any other person who will be testifying in this trial. Mr. Lauro, will you need to be heard any further, sir? Have a good day. The state's next witness will be whom this afternoon? All right, you can bring the jurors back in.
There it is, everybody. There's the kiss. And she picks up her, I guess, her support person, and she walks out. There it is, Ava. Odd moment. But really, I mean, really, she was I know Wendi would hate to hear this, but Robert really stole the show. His testimony is quiet, laid back, wasn't in the thick of things the way Wendi was, but the small little things are very, very telling. It doesn't concern me. It's only my ex son-in-law murdered in his driveway, shot in the face. Doesn't concern me. I don't care. Donna Adelson was the only one in America who had heard the story, who wasn't interested as to why it happened. All right, I'm going to end this the way I end so many of these. The victim impact statement. This was written to the Honorable James Hankinson. We are all permanent contributors to Prof's blog, the law professor's blog that Dan founded in 2005. We write to describe Dan's creation of Prof's blog because this blog reflects Dan's friendship, intellectual integrity, enthusiasm, and public spiritedness. Although we each had individual friendships with Dan, we write this letter collectively to describe how Dan's murder deprived us and the larger community of law professors of these virtues as they were reflected in Prof's blog. Dan's idea in creating Prof's blog was that legal scholars could transcend partnership. Well, how do you pronounce that? Oh, I know that word. Professional jealousies and ideological bitterness by discussing law and academic professions. Partisanship, professional jealousies, and ideological bitterness by discussing law and academic profession in the spirit of friendship. Dan himself was tenacious about both his convictions and his friendships, and he was ingeniously optimistic that his stubborn passions in pressing the former would never endanger the latter. His blog was an effort to generalize this optimism to the public at large. He posted and encouraged us to post on every topic, regardless of how controversial it was, relating to the legal profession, academia, and scholarship. He invited us to post regardless of our political or ideological values. Several of us, indeed, disagreed with Dan about many of his most strongly held convictions, sometimes in print. Yet Dan trusted that, so long as people posted in the spirit of friendship, the exchange would always be worthwhile. Given the savage invective in which anonymous online commenters are prone, it is an unsurprising understatement to say that Dan's trust was not always rewarded. Dan never, however, wavered in his good-natured response. He seemed genuinely perplexed by the viciousness that inevitably surfaced on the internet and would occasionally delete anonymous comments that descended into personal insults to prevent them from intimidating others. But he himself never responded with sarcasm or anger. Instead, he modeled good nature, modesty, and kindness in his own posts, which ranged from erudite, doctrinal, or philosophical discussions on criminal law, civic posts announcing academic events and job opportunities, promotion of others, especially young scholars' work, and pure whimsy on a miscellany of topics, fiction, hockey, snacks during class. Prof's blog was, under Dan's leadership, a source of community for legal professors at every stage of their careers. 150 professors, roughly estimated, guest blogged at Prof's blog, and many thousand visits its pages during its almost a decade and a half of existence. It was a place where law school deans could explore how to integrate practical skills into legal academia. Entry-level professors could vent their angst about their job prospects, and everyone could test drive their ideas. At its best, Crossblog radiated Dan's own incessantly friendly, yet stubbornly argumentative personality. We are carrying on Prof's blog in Dan's memory, and we hope that a shadow of Dan's spirit still shows. Dan's loss, however, dealt a grievous blow to the enterprise. That blow is itself a small part of the loss of fellowship and scholarly community that Dan's murder inflicted on scholars everywhere, whom Dan did so much to bring together through friendship and argument. Sincerely, Rick Garnett, Roderick M. Hills, Sarah Lawsky, Ethan J. Lieb, Orly Lobel, Daniel B. Rodriguez, Howard M. Wasserman, Paul Horowitz. And that is what I have for today, guys. Please hit the thumbs up. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30 to stream the trial. I hope you'll join me then. Have a terrific night, everybody. Thanks so much for listening and watching with me. See you tomorrow at 8:30 a.m.
What a stitch you're in. You plotted a murder 'cause you wanted to raise your daughter's kid. Tallahassee is just a stop on the way to civilization. Miami is where all the fancy people are. The TV is a Power 5. You can't get away from that. Two-toe, tay-toe, hoo-ho, you know the guy you pay, and you can't get away from that. Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. You thought jail was just for the little people, but now you're so blankets with the locked-up crew. You're a grandmother in lockdown, and your one-way ride to freedom you blew. What a stitch you're in. Your family are exiled from the social circles you swam in. We all know you never made that banana bread or offered to babysit for Dan, but you'll soon be making license plates and thinking about what could have been.